On a quiet morning, chaos broke loose when a massive German Shepherd got his head stuck between cold iron bars. Adults scrambled to help, trying soap water and coaxing, but the dog only grew more frantic, growling and thrashing in fear. Just as hope began to fade, a baby named Noah crawled forward through the grass, drawn by the dog's cries. With pure innocence, he reached out and touched the shepherd's nose. To everyone's astonishment, the dog calmed instantly, laying still and gently licking the child's fingers. In that fragile moment, a baby's quiet presence succeeded where all else failed. As the German shepherd struggled in panic, trapped between iron bars, a crowd gathered, helpless, anxious, and increasingly desperate. Every adult had tried something: dish soap water, soft voices, even treats, but nothing worked. The dog was too distressed, too terrified to understand their intentions. Then, without warning, a baby named Noah wandered from a nearby porch. Dressed in blue pajamas and barely able to walk, he crawled across the grass, drawn by the dog's cries. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the toddler approached, completely unafraid. Everyone braced for disaster, but something extraordinary happened. The moment Noah sat beside the fence and reached his tiny hand through the bars, the dog went still. His frantic breathing slowed, his pinned-back ears relaxed, and his wild eyes softened. Noah giggled, pressing his forehead gently to the bars. The dog let out a quiet whimper and licked the baby's fingers, surrendering his fear to the calm presence of the child. It was a moment that defied logic, a pure connection between innocence and distress. Where adults had failed with force and fear, a baby succeeded with trust and tenderness. In that yard, surrounded by stunned neighbors, a silent message rang. Clear, sometimes healing begins with the smallest of hearts. In a quiet neighborhood, chaos unfolded when a massive German shepherd got his head trapped between cold iron bars. The crowd grew, and with it, the tension. Adults tried everything: soothing voices, slippery soap, even calling animal control. But nothing worked. The dog was panicked, thrashing, and dangerously close to hurting himself. Then, out of nowhere, a baby named Noah crawled into the scene. Barely old enough to walk, he approached the frantic dog with innocent curiosity and no fear. As everyone held their breath, something incredible happened. The dog, moments earlier, wild and terrified, froze. His eyes met Noah's. The panic in his body melted away, replaced by stillness. When Noah reached out his tiny hand through the bars, the German shepherd responded, not with a growl, but with a soft, grateful whimper and a gentle lick. In that instant, a connection was made, pure, instinctive, and healing. It wasn't the tools or strategies of grown-ups that calmed the dog. It was the untouched trust of a child. What everyone witnessed that day was more than a rescue. It was a quiet miracle, a reminder that compassion, even in its smallest form, can reach where fear cannot. Sometimes it takes a child to teach us the power of peace. As the German shepherd remained stuck between the cold iron bars, panic escalated among the onlookers. Adults debated solutions, but nothing worked until a baby named Noah crawled toward the frightened dog. Without hesitation, the toddler pressed his tiny hands against the metal, gazing into the dog's desperate eyes. Everyone stood frozen, terrified of what might happen next. But in that moment, something extraordinary unfolded. The frantic shepherd, moments ago wild with fear, suddenly stopped struggling. His breathing slowed. His eyes softened. He responded not with aggression, but with understanding. When Noah reached out and touched the dog's nose, the animal closed his eyes in peace. A gentle whine escaped him, not of fear, but surrender. He even licked the baby's hand in quiet gratitude. The dog, once a creature of panic and muscle, had been soothed by innocence. This moment revealed a powerful truth. Empathy doesn't always come from strength or logic. It often comes from the pure, unfiltered heart of a child. Noah hadn't known fear, and so the dog forgot his own. That simple exchange between a trapped dog and a fearless baby changed everything. It reminded everyone watching that sometimes healing begins with a touch, and understanding doesn't need words. In the quiet aftermath of panic, the trapped German Shepherd found his savior not in tools or commands, but in the pure innocence of a baby named Noah. As the dog thrashed in fear, Noah crawled forward, undeterred, placing his tiny hand on the shepherd's nose. The dog froze, not in fear, but in recognition of gentleness. With a soft whimper, he licked Noah's fingers, calming, like a storm passing over. This moment reminded the crowd that compassion isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives on tiny feet wrapped in pajamas and reminds us that even the wildest hearts can be soothed by love. As the German Shepherd lay trapped and frantic, time was slipping away. Neighbors stood helpless, hearts heavy, until a baby named Noah crawled forward, drawn by instinct rather than fear. The moment his tiny fingers touched the dog's nose, something shifted. The panicked shepherd grew still, his breathing slowed, and the wild look in his eyes softened. Noah's innocent presence, free of judgment or fear, brought peace where nothing else could. In a world full of noise and struggle, it was a child's gentle touch that reminded everyone watching, sometimes healing begins with simple, fearless kindness. In the midst of chaos, it was a moment of pure connection that silenced a panicked crowd. As Noah pressed his forehead gently against the iron bars, the massive German Shepherd, once frantic and growling, responded not with fear, but with gratitude. He closed his eyes, let out a shaky breath, and licked the baby's fingers softly. That small act of trust stunned everyone. A bond had formed, unexplainable yet undeniable. In a world often hardened by fear, this tender exchange reminded all who witnessed it, even the most frightened hearts can find peace in the presence of pure, unconditional love. In life, we often come to believe that strength comes from size, power, or control. But time and again, it is the gentlest souls who remind us of life's deeper truths. In this story, a frightened German Shepherd, trapped, panicked, and unable to trust, was calmed not by force or expertise, but by the innocent touch of a child. A baby too young to understand fear or judgment brought peace through presence and purity of heart. For older generations who have seen much of life's harshness, this serves as a quiet reminder. Healing often comes from the most unexpected places. As we age, we carry not just memories, but also wounds, scars. Others may not see, yet it is never too late to soften, to feel, or to trust again. Sometimes all it takes is one quiet moment of connection to change everything. Whether it's a grandchild's hug, a friend's voice, or the companionship of a pet, love has no age limit. This story reminds us to never underestimate the power of tenderness, and that even in our most vulnerable state, there is hope for peace if we allow ourselves to feel it. In the stillness of compassion, old fears lose their grip, and hearts find their way home.